Okay, you ready to blarf up the scenario?
Sure.
That's
I need you
appropriate.
to cease and desist with these terrible jokes.
That's good. That's a good one. It's time to hunker down and go over Blarf's latest release, Cease and Desist. Blarf is an experimental project and pseudonym for comedian Eric Andre, who you may know from a few little things like the Eric Andre Show, Disenchantment on Netflix, and the upcoming Lion King movie. One of these things is not like the other.
It's also on what was it, Man Seek? What was the
Man Seeking Woman, yeah.
Man Seek a Woman.
Yeah, but that's not as important as Disenchantment.
You might also know him from all the memes.
All the memes, every meme ever, including this album. He surprisingly, you may be like, wait, comedian Eric Andre makes music? It gets better. Let me tell you. He graduated with a degree in double bass from Berklee College of Music in 2005. Sorry, I yelled that. It's just really funny.
Yeah.
And this was released on Stone Throw Records. The same Stone Throw who's released some of my favorite albums of all time, whether it's J Dilla's Donuts, Mad Villain's Mad Villainy. So Stone Throw's entrusted double bass graduate from Berklee, Eric Andre, to put out a new record. And it
gave them Blarf.
It gave him Blarf. And Blarf is a Plunderphonics project. And Jonathan, you may ask, what's Plunderphonics?
What? Oh, as I supposed
Yeah.
What's Plunderphonics?
Well, let me tell you, Plunderphonics, by textbook definition, is any music made by taking one or more existing audio recordings and altering them in some way to make a new composition. This is mostly known from John Oswald. In his work, he made an entire Plunderphonics album, which took songs like Michael Jackson's Beat It and would just sample it. It was pretty memey. The existence of Plunderphonics had some beauty, like he would sample some orchestral music, but it was pretty memey in the start and very rustic, and not rustic, but like rusty, kind of grimy and filthy, but still very fun and interesting. Some of my favorite albums are Plunderphonics albums, like Avalanche's Since I Left You. Matt Moss's recent Plastic Anniversary is considered Plunderphonics because it samples only plastic noises. And Neil C. Soreka's Mouth Moods, the entire Mouth trilogy of just meme music, is considered Plunderphonics, and it's beautifully and well crafted done. And Blarf's considered Plunderphonics. And this entire record, this 9-song 27-minute album, is a Plunderphonics masterpiece. In my opinion, as much as this thing could be a masterpiece, because I think there's a lot of character being portrayed through the music, whether it's badass, let me say this right, badass bullshit Benjamin Button's Butthole Assassin, where you just get constant samples going into each other with some heavy drums. There's heavy drum samples across this whole entire album that kind of give this distinctive vibe of this kind of hectic nature. There's this glitchiness in the entire record, as well as this kind of clanginess too. It just feels very metallic in nature. Everything's just kind of bumpy and metallic.
There's like elements in this album that just feel like the openings like of the Eric Andre Show, where everything's just smashing together and breaking apart, but like it's kind of beautiful to witness.
Yeah, we get these samples going in one another and its hectic nature going into this kind of beautiful moment with horns. Later on we got Save It Babe, which is complete. It has this Jimi Hendrix sample that leads into more hectic drums, and it's sped up, and it has this completely rapid fire nature that just keeps on going. I feel like I'm being chased by the sample. Banana, which is this weird vocal sample leading into just this great string sample that is then glitched together and spliced together in such a way that it makes it seem completely frantic and out of the world. You moments like Hella Rhymes, where a Busta Rhymes sample is played rapid fire over all these other there's hard noise to make this really interesting moment. A lot of these moments range from like 4 minutes to a minute. We get moments like I like that and I Don't Know, which is these drum samples that come off really incredible. And completely just unorthodox and strange. Then I think you get into the main problem of this album, which I think it's also a benefactor, and it helps this album in some way.
Yeah.
I Worship Satan. It's a 12-minute long, around 13 minutes long.
It's an album or a song as long as an episode of the
Eric Andre Show, where it's just gargled field recordings, what it sounds like. It just distorted field recordings.
It's heavy, distorted noise that then gives way into these like sounds like horror movie like soundtracks.
Just old school horror movie soundtrack. That's what it sounds like.
And then it ends with the reading rainbow.
And let me emphasize you, 11 minutes of this is just gargled noise.
Yeah.
And it's I've experienced things like this before in other projects, but why this works is it's completely unexpected. It's not great, but it defines this unorthodox character that just doesn't give a fuck. And I think it's incredible because of that, because it's a complete troll. Yeah, this is a troll track.
It's exactly what you expect from Eric Andre.
It's just completely stupid, left field, shouldn't exist.
Yeah, it works. The album works into this like, oh, okay, I understand what this is now. Like, coming to accept like all this chaotic sampling and all this noise. And then it just hits you with just... for 12 fucking minutes. It's exactly what you expect from Eric Andre. It's what makes his show so good. It's like it lures you into this false sense of like security within its chaotic realm, and then just completely pulls like the curtains out, and, like, the floor out from underneath you, and just fucks you over.
Then we get into final two tracks, Boom Ba, which is a terrific track with, again, the rapid file style sampling. Then we get the Me and Me, which takes a Smashing Pumpkins guitar loop, or I think a bass loop, or it's turned into a heavy bass loop, along with some hella percussion and vocals. It's a really interesting idea and a 1 minute blend that kind of brings together the album into a more Plunderphonics nature before you do leave. I think while the Satan, I Worship Satan's going to be the one thing that decides, like, people whether they decide they like this or not, I think it does define his character. I think everything else on this album is so strong that that one moment could be so terrible as it wants to be,
and I actually like it. I don't think it's a terrible moment.
It's not bad. It's just so long. And it's really interesting. I've listened to this album 3 days today. No, I've listened to it 3 times a day, and because it's so short, this album total again is only 27 minutes, and every time I listen to that track all the way through, and not one time was I completely.
I've never once thought about skipping that track.
Yeah, it's never come to me because I think everything else in that album is so chaotic. To have that one moment is kind of a blessing in disguise, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
And that's really it. This album's really short. It's pretty cut and center.
It's a great.
There's not too much you got to say about it.
No.
Except it has rapid fire sampling, some great drum samples throughout. It's not afraid to take risks. It's not afraid to be memey. Yeah. It's not afraid to be completely stupid. It's not afraid to be a troll.
It's not afraid to include at the end of one of the, or I think it might actually be at the beginning, a sample of Patton Oswalt making fun of George Bush.
That's at the end of Boom Ba.
Yeah, in 2019, like, we still give a shit about George Bush.
Yeah, like, this thing is completely unorthodox, crazy, out of control, and it knows it's everything. It knows that it can be a complete dick if it really wanted to, and just have I Worship Satan go on for like 4 hours if it really needed to be. But keep in mind, all scores are futile and meaningless. Right now I'm feeling 8 on this. I really enjoyed it.
I'm feeling 8.
Yeah. And Central Project? Yeah, I think it's Central Project. I think it's part of the list, and I think it's completely unorthodox, strange, and one of the best uses of sampling so far this year, and what it's been a great year for sampling and music. And we're gonna leave it at that.